Good day and welcome to everyone who's interested in commercial real estate investing. My name is Stacy Corso and I'm a spokesperson here at Green Street, the preeminent provider of commercial real estate research and analytics. And I'm joined today by Cedric Lachance, who's the EVP and Director of Research for Green Street. He oversees a team of 60 of the brightest analysts in the business, covering public and private sector real estate. Cedric, thank you so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Stacy. Always nice talking to you.
Thank you. As we know, commercial real estate has seen an unprecedented run-up in prices this year. According to our Commercial Property Price Index, prices have grown 24% year to date, and that's 14% higher since when the pandemic began, which are very interesting numbers. Against that backdrop, can you please take us through the top 3 trends investors need to watch in 2022? What's the first trend they should be looking for?
Yeah, the first trend, I'll piggyback on the comments about valuation and being 14% above pre-pandemic. I think what investors should look for in 2022 is for commercial real estate, both in the public and in the private market, to outperform the average of investment alternatives. For us, we often compare real estate to corporate bonds, so both investment grade and non-investment grade. And looking at that comparison, and then bringing it with a comparison to the public market, it's clear to us that real estate should continue to do very well in 2022 and therefore should be outperforming these asset classes. Perhaps, sorry, and I'll add one more to that. Maybe at the sector level, what would be interesting as well for investors is thinking about non-traditional property sectors. We find that, again, both in the public and the private sectors like manufactured homes, gaming, cold storage, healthcare, and single-family rental are particularly attractive.
Excellent. So what's the second trend investors should watch out for in 2022?
And I'll build a little bit on what I just talked about, and I'll think about inflation. So I think inflation will remain top of mind for next year. And when you look at real estate tends to be a very good inflation hedge. And we studied that from a commercial real estate lens, looking back into the 70s, obviously a period of high inflation, and thinking about some of the shorter periods of boost in inflation since then. And what we've observed is that commercial real estate in the public market, that was our lab, if you will, tended to do better than equities or bonds during periods of rising inflation or quickly rising inflation. So real estate is effectively at this point somewhat of an option on higher inflation because we don't see it priced in the real estate, as I just mentioned, in terms of our view of commercial real estate versus investment alternatives. So use real estate as an inflation hedge if you're concerned about further inflation gains over the next few years.
Excellent piece of advice. Thanks, Cedric. So what is the third trend investors should be watching out for in 2022?
Yep. The third one is, to me, it's sustainability, and it's the growth of the E in ESG that is becoming more and more important for investors, and that we'll see translate into much more action over time in the US. We've seen a lot of evolution, in particular, I think that's been accelerated during the COVID era. And now investors are very sensitized to the green risk, if you will, in the property market. And you're seeing a lot of very sophisticated owners taking actions. A lot of them have plans for either some net zero targets or great reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. And those plans are going to become more and more real in the coming years. So it's true of both public and private companies at this point. How it's going to translate is more CapEx. And for us, it's that CapEx could be costly in the sense of reducing the value of some sectors in order to achieve net zero by 2 to 5% over time. That said, it's truly not one size fits all per sector. So if you think about the office business, what we see is owners of quality, green or LEED certified office buildings should greatly outperform owners of office buildings that are not going to take the green path. So we'll look for sustainability to be an increasingly more important part of the real estate business in 22 and beyond. And for investors that know how to price the cost of becoming green to have an advantage versus others.
Excellent. Wow, those are some great trends that investors and commercial real estate practitioners should be looking for out there in the market next year.